It's nice to remember a time before COVID-19, before the Australian wildfires, before the airstrike on Iran, before 2020. We're going back in time, back to a simpler era. When Fortnite was just released, TikTok was becoming popular, and people were going nuts over Szechuan sauce. Back to 2017. One average June evening, Nate Fernald, a comedian, did not know he was about to do the most impactful action of his entire career while searching for pins on eBay, unknowingly starting an internet odyssey spanning multiple years. At 5:21 p.m, after finding a strange pin on eBay, Nate Fernald asked Twitter, "What the fuck is Geedis?" Twitter users were quick to jump on the case as it was vaguely familiar to a huge amount of people, but no one could remember exactly what Geedis was from. After a subsequent post by Nate Fernald, it was Dan Price who found the first lead, tweeting back, "This is something," and provided a link to the Flickr page of Donald DeVoe, which had on it a sheet of stickers featuring Zoltan, Harry, Iggy, Tokar, Eric, and, of course, Geedis. All under the title, The Land of Ta. Solved, right? Well, not necessarily. When googled, nothing could be found under The Land of Ta. It was Donald DeVoe and those with a keen eye who provided the first lead. The creators of this sticker sheet were Dennison, now Avery Dennison. During this time, a second lead had been found. Carrie Z tweeted they had found a reference to Geedis in the definitely real Tomb of the Dragon Speaker by Kenneth Famia. So I'm guessing you have all realized that Carrie pranked us all. The book turned out to be a fake, a well executed prank. Carrie revealed this by showing the copyright page, which was written by Carrie, saying, "This book is a work of fiction, as is its author." This book was not actually published in 1982. After this, the fickle nature of Twitter was being revealed as it moved on to more recent and pressing world events. Yet this mystery remained and would require a different beast altogether. It would require an army, and only one step forward: the army of Reddit. On September 4th, 2017, the Geedis subreddit was founded by the users Ask Me About Sharks and Standard Deviation 2, with the aim to find out what Geedis was, why Geedis was created, who created Geedis, and when Geedis was created. It blew up in popularity, with hundreds and often thousands joining day after day. Theories ran wild, with some believing Geedis to be a part of a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, possibly from an obscure book, failed cartoon pilot, even a music album, or an attempt to cash in on sci-fi and fantasy trends of the 80s. Yet, from this initial chaos, the Redditors began to properly organize their efforts. Previously we saw it was Avery Dennison who produced the stickers. It was the user Ask Me About Sharks who contacted Avery Dennison looking for any leads, an artist name, possibly if it was part of a show or a book, essentially asking why these stickers were produced. Yet Avery Dennison's response was lackluster. They also did not know what the Land of Ta or Geedis was, stating they have no records of these runs. It's here where the massive YouTuber Whang steps in to cover the case, with his video garnering hundreds of thousands of views and renewing interest in the mystery. While not explicitly finding out anything himself, he undoubtedly gave Redditors a reason to solve the mystery, as they were now being watched by a massive audience. User Rowdy Wrongdoer contacted the Framingham History Center, which is in the vicinity of where Denison operated at this time period. This produced some interesting leads. Framingham History Center also found they had in their collection more Geedis stickers. Following this, Framingham also contacted former employees. Some thought Geedis looked like a knockoff Daggett from Battlestar Galactica. This last statement, of course, would have fueled further theories that it was a knockoff attempt to cash in on the sci-fi fantasy trends of the 80s. However, Denison had lots of licenses to produce official merchandise for sci-fi and fantasy series from this time. The Framingham representative theorized it was one of many failed attempts from the 60s to the 80s by Denison to tap into youth culture of the time, being clearly aimed at the rising Dungeons and Dragons pastime. On June 9th, 2019, Nate Fernald would hold an AMA on Reddit, and from this a new pin would be found, the Zoltan pin. But this was equally as perplexing as the Geedis pin, and did not lead to any new answers. During this intermittent period, there was little new evidence found. Framingham had apparently run out of leads, Avery Dennison didn't have a clue, and the Reddit army was left directionless. It's here where the Reddit users A of J and Hall Gergo reached out to the Endless Thread, a podcast, to investigate the case. Due to its massive following, on the 23rd of August 2019, the Endless Thread took up the mantle of leading the Reddit army by releasing a 44-minute podcast investigating the case. The Endless Thread had also contacted the Framingham History Center, yet this time they had been forwarded to the individual Lou DeMauro, who was the general manager of Denison at the time. Lou informed the Endless Thread that Denison had used a lot of outsourcing for their artwork at the time, and so it was very likely that the artist who designed Geedis was a freelancer. Yet the phrase Geedis brought up old memories for Lou. It was slang for cash. In Denison at the time, the phrase rolling in the Geedis used to mean rolling in cash. The Endless Thread also got into contact with a Tom Manguso, an elderly man who was the art director for Denison from the time period. His son Billy, who was taking the call with him, actually recognized the stickers of Geedis and the Land of Ta as the work of Sam Petrucci, an artist both men knew. Sam passed away in 2013. But the Endless Thread managed to contact Linda Petrucci, who, after 2 long years of internet sleuths toiling over the mystery, finally confirmed that Geedis was in fact the work of her father, Sam Petrucci, and she still had the original artwork. Sam Petrucci, well, many of us have seen his work without even knowing. Mainly working in branding, he did the WWF's iconic panda, the Friendly's cursive logo, Ocean Spray logo, and he was even the original artist for G.I. Joe. I think it's funny that even after his passing, Sam Petrucci is still providing possibly the very same children who played with G.I. Joe all those years ago with something which catches their imagination again. Sam Petrucci was known to be a bit mischievous and to be a joker, so I'm sure he would have had great joy over this whole debacle. Oh, and before I finish, that Zoltan pin from earlier, it was just another hoax. This is just a fun story, with thousands of people all over the world getting involved in such a simple task, finding out what was Geedis. Geedis really was nothing more than the creation of an amazing mind. I believe the main questions surrounding Geedis have been answered, and maybe the real achievement was the fun we all had along the way. If you made it this far in the video, I'd like to say thank you. I'd love feedback and I'd really appreciate a like and a subscribe if you're willing. Till next time, this was Ringed.